Hi, everybody. This is Nola Joy Corello, and I'm so honored today to be interviewing Elaine Ballace. She's an award-winning actress, an author, a producer, a director, a writer, and a guest speaker. Welcome, Elaine, and welcome, Mika.
Mika is right here. Mika is our local diva. No, she's an international diva. Say hi, Mika.
Hi, Mika. And you are going to be in a movie real soon.
Yes, she's only done podcasts so far and YouTube videos. And so now she's going to be starting her feature, which is called A Wonderful Life. And we are going to be shooting. We were supposed to actually be shooting next week, I think, and it got pushed to June, but we don't have the exact date yet. So as soon as we do, I will keep everyone informed. They can just check on my page on Facebook if they want, or there is a page called a wonderful life movie.com. So it'll keep everyone up to date about the movie, and it's just wonderful. It's a Christmas movie.
I'm looking forward to it. But before we begin the interview, I want to give a shout out to your East Coast agent, John Terlisi, for helping us make this interview possible.
John is without a doubt, he should get an award for being humanitarian of the world. He helps everybody. And he is just the kindest man in the world. He helps everyone. He has done more than any agent I've ever had. He is just absolutely the best.
Well, Elaine,
I think you should have an award show and give him an award.
Well, let me think about that. Maybe we could do something together.
That would be wonderful. And he's very worthy and very deserving.
Well, anyway, my first question to you is, when did you discover in your heart that you would be a star?
You know, that's an interesting question, and I'm not even certain what the definition of a star is. But I knew from a very, very young age, like 3 or 4. I mean, some of the stuff I don't recall. My mother told me, which would sound like something I would do. But I always wanted to entertain, always. And my mom said when we used to go to, big family dinners or gatherings, I would always put on a variety show. And of course, I can't sing. I could dance a little, but couldn't really sing. But that didn't stop me, or do fashion or whatever it was. And it was so much fun. I just always knew that that's what I wanted to do. There was never anything else that I wanted to do. I wanted to learn about other things, but I always wanted to entertain. And the thing about entertainment that I love the most is the emotions you hopefully are bringing to others. Mine, I like laughter. So I try, to do more comedies, or at least be the comic relief in a serious movie. And I've done that several times. I did that in the YouTube series, I Dared My Best Friend to Ruin My Life. I think they just shortened it to Dared. But I was the comic relief. I was like the nosy neighbor. And in the movie Dracula Bride of Horror, I almost said Dracula Dead and Loving It, which was a true comedy, but Dracula's Bride of Horror, I played the comic relief too, the woman who kind of goes in to see this psychologist, and he just thinks she's crazy, so that one was really fun. That one was with my other dog Oreo, with whom I wrote the book. So I bring everything full circle.
But anyway, going from there, I wanted to know tell people what sport really launched your movie career.
Professional ice skating. I turned pro when I was 8. And back in those days, you couldn't earn any money at anything. And so you were either amateur or pro. but I went through, all the tests, learned all the figures. They were doing figures back then,
Love-
and just got the discipline, the devotion, the everything that went along with a sport. And that particular sport, it's you and the ice.
Mhm.
So if you couldn't do it, you always blamed the ice. It was the ice's fault first, and never your fault. It was the ice. There was a rut, a hole, something, but I think that was one of the greatest sports and the greatest discipline. And I took that discipline into everything. When I went to college, when I was studying for finals or an exam, I did the same discipline that I would have done if I were doing a show and a performance. So I was always very prepared. You have to be very, very, prepared. So there's a lot of devotion, a lot of dedication, a lot of tears of joy and sadness, with a sport if you have a bad performance. And the thing that I learned most about skating is there really are no take twos when you're performing. That's it. You're out there, you either make it or you don't. And so in that case, you have to be very prepared. So
You earned a,
it's
sorry,
it's a great discipline.
yeah, you earned a reputation from your peers of being the best spinner.
Well, and I was in the Guinness Sports Record book for most revolutions per second in a spin. And I enjoyed the spins. They're very different again now, because back in the day when I was skating, you would hold a spin, or you would blur a spin, or there might be one or two changes in a spin, but now I think they do five or something. And I think they've lost where they've gained in revolutions in a jump. They've lost so much. They've lost the flow of the skating. They've lost a lot of the technique of the skating.
Quality of,
And that's what I miss.
like the quality of edges is somewhat lacking.
Edges. Edges, she says.
You're right, but the depth of edge is so important too. Anyway, how do you prepare for a leading role?
Well, I think I do the same thing that I would if I were skating. In other words, in skating, you're practicing almost every day, at least 5 days a week, and sometimes six. And what you do is when you're learning a routine and you're breaking it down, you already know the tricks that you're going to do, so to speak. And in acting, I do the same thing. I get a feel for the script and probably use more of my words than their words to get the aha syndrome. And then you break it down, and when in doubt, go back to their words, because those are the words they really want anyway, and get the idea. But I try to put it into how would I be in this situation. And then when you go into a movie or TV show, um, you're prepared. The only thing that's difficult is I love to rehearse and be prepared. And oftentimes I'm guilty of maybe calling the other main person or person I'm doing a scene with, to say, hey, let's run lines, so that you get their timing and their little quirks. And if they're changing it or anything like that, you kind of know where you are and where you want to go with it. And so in that case, I'm probably, just too disciplined in that when I go to a set, I want to be super prepared, because time is money.
Mhm.
And if you're wasting it, I mean, not to say that you're not going to have a bad day or forget some lines or something like that, which is the good thing with film, because they can always say cut and do it again, or they can say, okay, cut and pick up. Whereas in skating, if you're doing a number and you're out there in front of an audience, you can't say, wait, time out, cut, let me try that again. So I try to take the same discipline that I would have, and also pacing, because in skating, when you're learning a number, you're you're pacing and you're learning the first part, then the middle part, the end part, or however one learns a number now. And then you're putting it all together. So when you're doing a movie, it's the same thing. You're going to learn the different lines and the different scenes, and then you put everything together. And you usually have a shooting schedule a little bit in advance. And of course, anything is subject to change. So even when you're out there doing a routine, if all of a sudden one day you go, oh my gosh, and you do something different or you miss something, but you still wanted to put it elsewhere, you can do it. That was a good thing about being a soloist.
So Elaine, what technique did you implement to develop your characters? What would be the number one technique?
Reading it and understanding the character's relationship to other people, and you don't you don't want to overshoot it, but you don't want to undershoot it, and you definitely don't want to play it the same because that's just boring. So you have to really, I think, listening in acting, the most important thing is listening and listening to what the other people are doing. It's like in a conversation, people don't talk at the same levels.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing in acting. You don't want to be at the same level. One's going to go up, one's going to go down, whatever.
When the lights go out and the stage is empty, how do you cope with loneliness?
Well, fortunately, I don't do a lot of stage. I do a lot of film or television or, web series, whatever they're saying now. So it's a little bit different. When I did stage to me was like skating. And so what I would do on stage if I were doing stage performances, and if you have the time and you've rehearsed, oftentimes directors want you to rehearse like several months before so that when you go in there, you kind of know the markings of where the places are. And that is the one thing I do take with me from skating is that if I know where the words are and the scene is, I mark it beforehand. So before they're doing it or while they're setting up with the lights, mentally, you can go to the places where you want to hit certain words, the same as you knew, like if you were going to do a jump or a spin, where you wanted it placed in the program. So you kind of walk through, and it also really helps you. I would do all my lines that way. I would get to the theater. Most people had to go an hour before, but I'd get there 2 hours before and spend an hour in warm up, which is what I would do with skating.
Well, it's being prepared. That's what it's all about. What is your secret for success?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I think it's still a secret. I think it's still a secret. I don't know. And really the success, like I think everybody says, oh, I want more. I think if you rest on your laurels, then you're cheating yourself and others because you always want to stay hungry, so they say. And a perfect example of that was Carl Reiner, the late Carl Reiner, who was wonderful. He was always acting as if he were just getting started. I mean, everything he did, as far as acting parts or directing, it was always like, oh, the pressure of just getting started. Will they like me? Everyone I think suffers from what I call Sally Field syndrome. You like me? You really like me? So I think that's the key to staying fresh, just don't rest on your laurels, don't become a caricature of yourself, and really come with passion. And if you don't have passion, it's time to move on.
Do you have an acting degree?
No, my minor was in film. I was more interested in the production of movies and television to help me produce.
And what are some of the projects that you have produced, Elaine?
Well, I've produced my web series, Camp Elaine, and then The Misadventures of Camp Elaine. And I've produced a couple other shows for people that I just produced. And producing's kind of like teaching in a way, because you have to do all the preparation, you have to do all the work. And sometimes when you're just doing it for someone, if they're not as dedicated or as enthused about it as you are, it doesn't work. And that's what I didn't really like about teaching, whether it was school or skating, was that I was there, I was excited, I was prepared, I was, creating. And if they didn't have the same passion for it and we were on totally different planes, I just got too frustrated. It's like, you can't teach passion. You either have it or you don't. And it doesn't have to be in acting or skating or writing or directing or producing, just in life for something.
A lot of people just lack passion. But with all the hats you wear, from producer to writer to actress to being a guest speaker, how do you stay in shape?
Well, it depends which shape you're talking about. Let's see, are we square? Are we red? Again, very similar to skating. Every morning, luckily with Mika, she wants to go for a walk immediately. And oh, she just heard me say that. And what I do is I get up in the morning, and well, this isn't the right word to say I hit the streets, but before I take her for a walk, we both stretch and exercise, and then sometimes during the day and sometimes at night, but movement, just keep moving.
That's important. How do you respond to unkind comments if you ever receive them?
Oh, I receive them all the time. But mainly when I'm doing, because I'm very active politically in the community where I live, and I'm always, with city council or anything like that, with people. The thing, it depends what the comment is. You can learn, because maybe you are doing something that people really don't like, and maybe you could change or alter it. Uh, but to thine own self be true. And so if they don't see it or they don't get it, of course it's going to hurt, because it's you, your talent, your everything out there. So Mel Brooks used to tell me, I go, Mel, that was, such a bad review. I just feel so badly. And he goes, Elaine, you just take the bad reviews and throw them away and just read the good reviews. So I've taken everything he said to me to heart, and he's been a wonderful mentor.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who are some of your acting role models?
Well, acting wise, I mean, you have to go back to Lucille Ball for comedy. And Lucy was, great. That's what really prompted me to want to do Camp Elaine, because I just love the things that she got into, the messes. I mean, I get into the messes all the time, and I go, what would Lucy do? And so I think she was wonderful. Mary Tyler Moore was great. I loved her show in that she wasn't as quirky. She had the supporting cast around her who was quirky. She had an innocence, I thought. But I loved her show. I loved the ensemble playing, of so many characters. And I don't know, you just look at people and you go, wow, that's great. Carol Burnett was wonderful in that she did sketches. I love sketch comedy. I mean, that's my forte, and I love improv. So that is, she was so delightful. Modern day people, I don't know, I think I'm stuck in old Hollywood and all the, classics, because they were so great and they were so individualized. It was so, you knew what Lucy was going to do. You knew what Mary was going to do. You knew what Gracie Allen was going to do. Um, so they were very individualized characters. And to me, that was very similar to skating, because now many of them, they all look alike, you know.
Mhm.
And back in the day, Peggy had a style, Janet Lynn had a style, Dorothy Hamill had a style, you know.
But,
So you could always say, oh, yeah, I like this or I like that or whatever. And I think Michelle Kwan may have been really the last of the skaters that didn't have to do like all the quads or something, and could still have a signature move or, something like that. But nowadays, I don't know that any of them have a signature move or a signature style. I mean,
what
they kind of do, but not that well defined.
what have been some of your joys and headaches during your career?
I think the career is a constant headache because you want to work more than maybe you are working, or if you're working a lot, you might say, gosh, I would just like a little rest or a little break. It just is what it is. The criticisms, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too thin, you're too fat, you're too old, you're too young, I mean, you're too something. And I think with everything that's going on now, the difference is you are able to create your own. And hence, I've been doing Camp Elaine for a long time, but just in increments. I would love for it to go as a full series. So that's my goal, is to really get it to be a full series as opposed to X number of episodes that I've done, throughout starting Camp Elaine. I've been doing it for a long time and have branched out in other areas, hence the book. And I think that there's a lot I would love to do, different shows. It's like, just take an episode of everyday life. And everyone's talking about artificial intelligence now. I'm just sick of the robots, It's like, what can I do for you? Well, you could pay my bills, you could clean my house, I'll get you right over to an operator. I mean, it's just the robots. These are things that everybody hates dealing with, so everyone can relate, or going to the DMV and you're going through 92 lines, to find out that you can't or can do something. And I just think that things in life are so, not that they're funny, but everyone can relate to certain things. And I don't know. I think life can be very frustrating when you're dealing with all the politics that's out there and the divide of, the pandemic and now strikes and this and that. And the thing that bothers me the most about what I'm witnessing, and maybe it went on, but I never noticed it to this degree, is the unkindness,
Yeah.
that's out there. And I think that people need to be a little more compassionate and a little bit kinder to one another. I mean, in that regard, everyone's going through something. So listen, be kind, be compassionate, don't be rude. And if it takes an extra second, it takes an extra second. What are you going to do?
Learn patience too.
Very much so, because I think there's too much road rage. I think the drivers are too distracted these days. I mean, talking, texting, driving, and someone's cutting you off, listening to the radio or something.
Yeah,
It's like,
makeup.
it's too much. Just get in the car and drive.
Elaine, what inspired you to write a book?
Well, actually, it's very interesting. At first, it started off as a gag and something funny, because I would notice people just weren't doing anything, and I learned, because my degree was actually in psychology, that hand, like if you're hand writing something, the hand to the brain is what the connection is that you want to get out. And I wanted it to be not a joke, but more joyful for people to get started and know that there is something for them out there. And then the pandemic hit, and then history was being rewritten. I mean, whether you like history or don't like history, it's there and you need to learn from it. If you didn't like it, fix it. If you loved it, try and embrace it. And what I learned from that was that what I'm experiencing and what I'm seeing is not what was being reported. And also, what I'm experiencing may not be what you're experiencing. And we may have totally different attitudes about it. And here is the book, right here, How to Write a Book Camp Elaine Style. Let's see. It's
With Oreo
with Oreo. Yeah. And that was Oreo. And then here's the back picture with them. And I'll show you a really cute picture of him, maybe. But there he is.
Oh,
Yeah, he was my soulmate, truly.
how old was he?
He wasn't very old. He was only 8,
Oh,
and he
and
got lymphoma. And I believe it was from a lot of the pesticides and stuff that are on the grass. And when you're taking your dog for walks, so you have to be so careful.
now,
And so anyway, what we did was, getting back to the book, was, for example, I'm not going to tell the whole book, but
how can you purchase that book?
you can go to my website. I actually have a website, ElaineBallace.com. So that's ELAINE, B as in boy, ALLACE.com. And the first chapter is it says, congratulations. I guess we can't really see it, but it says, congratulations, you showed up. Now take out a pen, a pencil, a crayon, any implement in which you can write, and start writing. And so the whole idea is that you are to write your own story. And you can start it anywhere you want. I say for kids, I mean, at least maybe 8 or 9 who can write. I mean, some may know beforehand, to start writing down what your life is like, where you want to go. And it's guided. There are 10 chapters, and you're guided through the whole book. And at the end, it says, congratulations, you just wrote your first book, or not. And it's the same thing, which is kind of the discipline of skating. Either you're going to come to the rink and do the work, or you're not, and you're not going to get much better. So the whole idea is to get people to be engaged, to get them to write, to tell their story. For seniors, well, AARP thinks seniors is 50. But if you're at an older age, write your memoirs and leave your memoirs. And it's for your family, your friends, and you don't even have to tell them about it, but they'll know that there's a book that you wrote. And one day, grandkids, great grandkids, or a stranger could pick up this book and start going through it and go, whoa, that happened. And it's not what historians are telling you. It's not what the news media is telling you. It's what that person experienced in his or her life and the changes.
I'm looking forward to getting a copy of that book.
And if it's in the US, the continental US and everything, probably even Hawaii. I haven't sent one there yet, but the price is inclusive. So it includes the autograph. You'll get it personally autographed, and you'll get it sent to you priority mail, because you are a priority. And there's also tracking on it.
What advice would you like to give to up and coming actors?
don't get started. It's easier to get into the business than out of the business, especially if you're passionate, because once you get in it, I don't think there isn't an Actors Anonymous that you can go to. They have AA to cure you, they have CA to cure you, they have everything to cure you, except if this is your dying desire, there's nothing to cure you. Just ride the roller coaster and stick to it. I mean, you have to really stick to it and really believe in yourself. And when I was teaching skating, especially, I would tell my kids, look, there are going to be competitions you're going to win that you didn't deserve, and there are going to be competitions that you lose, that you won, but you didn't deserve. So don't beat yourself up along the way. There are plenty of people out there that will do it for you. You don't have to beat yourself up. And I used to tell them, when you go out to do a program, enjoy. You've done it a million times on the ice. The only difference is no one's going to get in your way. You're out there alone. No one's getting in your way. So if you're going in for an audition, no one's going to be in your way. I mean, there might be a lot of people, but they're at the side watching you. If you're acting and performing for someone, you're there because they chose you, you know. So just be appreciative and be kind, and don't be a diva on the set.
How do you find a legitimate and respected acting agent today?
Wow. I think everyone's looking for that.
Oh dear.
Call John. I think, again, it's like picking a person. There are some that are really good at one point of your career. There are others that are better for you at other points of your career. And especially nowadays, it's getting in the room, which they used, COVID to self-tape. They were doing self-tapes even before COVID, but COVID gave them the excuse to not have to see you. And at that point, I think I took a different direction, because doing a selfie with no feedback, nobody in the room, you don't know what they want, you know what you want or you think they want. But I think that's the other problem. You're second guessing yourself every single time you're doing a selfie. And I say to the casting people and the producers, get back in the room. and the energy, I mean, you're going to feed off the energy. If you're doing it yourself, or even just with a camera person or somebody, the energy isn't there and you don't know what they want. They could say, oh, could you make an adjustment and do it this way? Or could you do it that way? Or they could have had something in mind. They see you come in with the energy and say, wow, I never even thought about that.
I want to interject our interview for a few minutes. We have some comments coming in from our viewers. Isn't that great?
Are they good or bad?
I'm getting a comment from Cindy Vasquez, and she says to you, great advice, Elaine. And also her husband is an inspiring actor here in Sacramento. And of course, your friend and agent from back east, John Terlisi, wants to say hello to you and Mika and me and the audience. Isn't that nice?
John, I told you John's the best. We need an award show just for John, to give him a humanitarian award.
Well, we'll have to work on that. And speaking about that, what movies are you working on right now?
Well, the one that's coming up is A Wonderful Life, and I'm really looking forward. It's a true kind of Hallmarkish movie, and I don't want to give it away, but I promise I will come back after we shoot it. And I heard from the director yesterday, and he goes, well, I'm making some changes. And it's like, that's probably the hardest thing. Once you learn all the lines, it's like, once you learn A, then you have to learn B, then you forget A, or can you even learn? No, you can learn B. But I mean, it's the same with changing a program. You try the program and it doesn't work, so you've got to make some changes to it. I think another word that every actor should have in his or her vocabulary is flexible. I think you have to be flexible.
That's
And so, you may go in with one idea. That's what I mean about going into the room. You may have a certain idea of how you think the character should be, and they have a different idea. And then you go, but what about this or what about that? Or they see you do it your way and they go, that really is fitting for you. Um, but if they're the ones paying the bills, then you really kind of want to do a little bit of what they want to do. But if you really believe in it, then fight for it.
Would you like to produce a movie?
Um, I think I would, but right now I really, and unless I could do it as a movie, I would really like to produce Camp Elaine because it's apolitical other than all the things that people face you know, with phone companies or with any kind of company that you're calling and they leave you on hold for an hour and then disconnect you and you have to call back. I mean, things like that, things that everyone can relate to. But basically, I want people to laugh.
Okay, we have some more comments coming in.
Oh, good.
I hope I pronounced his name right. Kevin Basker says,
Oh, Kevin's great. I have done Kevin's show about 4 times, I think, already. I love Kevin. Hi, Kevin. And Kevin's wife was a skater and is a judge. So see what I mean about the skating community? Hi, Janet.
he said to say hello to you. So nice to see you. And Janet says hi. And talking about skating, I'm not sure how many are aware of it, but I was a competitor in ice dancing, and I served as a judge and a referee for a number of years for the United States Figure Skating Association.
Kevin's wife is a judge in Canada.
Well, I've judged in Canada too for the judging the nationals, the skating, synchronized team skating. But I did all the events: dance, pairs, singles. It's a long story, but
when you go to Canada, you're going to have to look Kevin up, and you and Janet can talk.
We'll all go to Canada someday, right? Okay, before we leave, Elaine, I want to afford you the opportunity. Is there anything you would like to share with the viewers, or a producer, director who wants to produce your Camp Elaine?
Yeah, if anybody wants to produce, call me. Well, first of all, they can reach me on almost every social media outlet. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They can do that. I also have a website, so they can reach me there. Anything like that they want to do or reach me, they can reach me that way. I really would love, I mean, this is the one thing that I'm so proud of, because it's like teaching, but for people to write their story, I think it's so important, because people feel that they don't have a voice, and this really gives them a voice and a life and an inspiration. And they'll say, oh, well, my life's not exciting, or I didn't do this. But as a child, they all had dreams, and maybe the dreams got changed, maybe for the better, for the worse, what happened. And leave your legacy. This is the most important thing, is leaving a legacy. And I really hope that people will get the book, because it's personally autographed, and they just have to make sure that they have their mailing address on there, and they can go to my website and order it there. That one, everything has to go through PayPal because of the way they set it up. If they want to speak to me personally because they're not comfortable, they can private message me, and I'll give them an address where they can send the money for the book. And they have to send me a mailing address, but a lot of people aren't comfortable on the internet, but unfortunately we're stuck. I don't know how else to do it. I should do a commercial and go, okay, write me here, but you
No
still,
promo. And do it
yeah.
on Facebook.
And they would, but people, and then there are the other people who are just so comfortable with computers and go, can't I just do it online? Or I don't want to write a check, or I don't even have a check. I mean, what's funny now is people don't even know how to write a check.
Sad, that's very sad. Before we leave, I have another comment coming in.
Oh, good.
Okay, from Kiz again. She wants to know when and where can we watch The Wonderful Life with you and Mika?
Well, actually it hasn't been shot yet, so I don't know where it's going to be distributed. But the one with Oreo was in the other movie, Dracula's Bride of Horror. And that's on Vimeo now, so they could do that. And there's also a Facebook page if they wanted to order the movie or watch it online. There's a way to do that. So that one's online, and I think most of the others, some of the Campy Lanes, not the misadventure ones, but some of the Campy Lanes are on YouTube. And they can even go to IMDb, not the IMDb Pro, but regular IMDb. And I have like 6 videos and a movie that they have the promo of the movie, Free Lunch Express, which was a parody of Bernie Sanders, which was really fun because I played his wife. So it was just like, it was so funny. I was so hoping, this is the only political statement, I was so hoping Bernie was going to win and we would premiere it at the White House.
Anyway, before we leave, I wanted to mention you're really best known for, let me see if I get this right. Love Without Hairs, right? 2020.
Right.
The Misadventures of Campy Lane, 2019.
Right.
Rich and the Ruthless, 2017.
Rich and Ruthless was probably, I will say, one of my favorite. It was a series, and it was done by Victoria Rowell, who was on The Young and the Restless for, I think, 14 or 15 years. And she was also on Diagnosis Murder. And now she's just branched out. She's everywhere. She was on a series recently. And that was probably one of the most fun and close-knit sets I've ever been on. We did it for 4 seasons. So we did it until 21. And it's wonderful. That's on BET Plus. And the good thing about that was one of the producers is producing a series which is out now on Urban Flix, and it's called Cocaine Sisters. And I was in one of the episodes. No cocaine, but and I wasn't one of the sisters. I just played a teacher in it.
Okay, Elaine, let's hope we have a producer, director, sponsor out there that want to produce your segment, Campy Lane or Misadventures of Campy Lane. What information would you like to give them? A phone number, an email address? What?
I would just say go to my website. They could write me there. They could get me, which also has my phone number on it. Facebook, Twitter, however they want to do it. I love giving out my phone number. Nobody ever answers the phone. They just use it to text. I like to hear their voices.
I do. Well, anyway,
please call. Please call.
I want to thank you for most memorable and stellar interview. I want to say,
oh, thank you,
Mika. And
Mika, come on, say goodbye to everybody. Come on, come on.
Okay.
Here, wait, she's coming. Come on, say goodbye.
Hi, Mika.
Say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Say thanks for watching.
We'll see you at the movies.
Yeah, say see you at the movies.
See you at the movies, Elaine and Mika. Thank you so much.
See you at the movies.
Until next time, this is Nola Joy Carrillo. Create heaven in your heart and starlight in your soul.